In yesterday's D&D vlog, we were talking about, well, we were asking the question, then we were talking about it. How long should it take to play a D&D adventure? If I pull one of the classic modules off my shelf, how many gaming sessions should that take? And of course, there's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of factors in that. But one of the things that I explored was I always, as a DM, have 3 or 4, they're not quite encounters. They're not full adventures. They're more like D&D micro experiences, ready to go at any moment. And I've evolved these over the years of playing and utilizing them. A perfect example was where it was a Thursday night at the shop. I'm doing this wargaming thing. I'm doing this Warhammer 40,000 thing. And I got just completely stomped, completely obliterated. That's, working on some different lists and playing some different things. But my opponent, fabulous, amazing tabletop general. So even in that defeat for tabletop glory, there was some very interesting insights. But I finished up and I've got an hour to go. So I'm just kind of hanging out there. Well, it was also D&D night. So the players playing D&D, one of the D&D groups, the DM couldn't make it. Like they were coming, then they couldn't come. They missed the train. Something happened. So they're hanging out rather than jumping in some other games. And then it's like an hour to go and the DM's not going to come. So the store manager was like, Fritz, do you think you could run something for them? And absolutely. Like, we're here to play some D&D. We've got the group. Let's see what we can do. And they don't know my D&D, Dungeons & Dragons DM playstyle. So it's kind of exciting to see how we can interact from that perspective. So I pulled one of these adventures out, and I'll share with you the adventure. There's no real spoilers. I mean, the odds, well, one, never tell me the odds, but also you never know. You might be sitting down at one of my tables to play, and you're like, Fritz, I know this adventure hook. Then we'll just pull out another one. They follow this formula. 1, 2, 3. Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. Act 1 sets the adventure up. It gives some background information, some of it accurate, some not that accurate. It sets the stage for what's going to happen. And the players have a little bit of agency or some control in that they can make some skill checks, they can pay some gold, they can explore around and gather more information or not. But the idea is that's like maybe 20 minutes or so. Right? We're trying to do this in an hour. And of course, Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, you can scale out and write a full adventure. But we're trying to do this in an hour. So that's about like 20 minutes. Then we move on to Act 2, which presents the scenario, kind of presents the puzzle, presents the question to ask. And at this point, now we're into some skill checks. We're into a couple of other different things. We're taking what we learned in Act 1 and confirming it, verifying it, seeing what we can do in Act 2. And then Act 3 is combat. Act 3 is absolute initiative. It's going to be a boss fight. It's going to be kind of a single monster or different type of monster fights. It's not going to be like a mass combat, drag things down, because we've got 20 minutes. 20 minutes, 20 minutes, 20 minutes. There we go. 1 hour. So pulling out one of these adventures. Players never turn down gold. Right? They never turn down gold. You want them to do something, you give some gold. So the players are in whatever city, in between adventures, and they're given a chance to earn a little bit of gold. There's a caravan, dwarven caravan, that wants to take some supplies through the forest up to the mountain where whatever clan has reestablished or established a mine. Okay, how much are you going to pay? Whatever, 500 gold, 400 gold, scaled up for the level. Easy, right? No problem. So you sign up. Now, this is Act 1, so you can try to negotiate for some more gold, like the bard is going to do, rolling high on those persuasion checks. If that doesn't work, then maybe the fighter gets in with a slight intimidation check. Other player characters, this is your chance to make skill checks or role play it out to find out, well, we got to go through the forest. What's in the forest? Right? How tall is the mountain? What's going on? What else is in the caravan? What are we doing? This is going to have the framework. Now we get to Act 2. So you go through the forest. You're at the top. When you arrive at the top of the mountain, and obviously we explain this with a little bit more detail and flair and presentation. But when the players arrive to the mountain, what you find is it's at the top of the mountain, and it's the scene of a massive battle. There's just dwarven defenders, dwarven warriors, dwarven miners strewn all about. There's blast marks, there's broken weapons, there's broken armor, and the mine itself has these two giant, massive metal doors that have been shut, sealed, and like barricaded. So something happened. Maybe make some skill checks, knowledge this, knowledge that, perception, whatever. But something is locked in that mine. Something is locked in that mine. You go through and you find some of the survivors, and there's one survivor, one dwarven warrior just on the edge of passing out. Well, you know, healing word like candy, pump them up, healing word. And you find out that a dragon had attacked the miners, came out of the sky just as they were loading up all those gems, all that ore, or that silver and gold, whatever it's going to be. And the dragon attacked, took the caravan, took the stuff, came back, and they fought it off and locked it in the mine. So what the heck are you going to do as the player? Now that's Act 2. So maybe see what you can do, make some more checks, come up with a battle plan, depending on the level, maybe raise up some of those fallen warriors. But we're setting up where we've had a little bit of role play, we've had a little bit of detective work, we've rolled some D20s for skill checks. Now it's coming down to a final fight. Well, depending on the party level and depending on what's going on, here's what's really happening, or here's what's really happened. Yes, you were paid to take the supplies up to the mine. And yes, the dragon did attack as supplies were coming down from the mine, and the dragon took the gems and the gold and everything. But then the dragon wiped out all of the dwarven defenders and miners. But then the dragon saw that there's a caravan coming back up. So why not 2 for 1? So it closed the metal doors, threw up a bunch of stuff there and barricaded it, and then polymorphed itself into a dwarven defender, dwarven soldier, beat itself up a little bit, and here we are waiting. So you're dealing with a polymorphed dragon. Depending on the edition of D&D that I'm running, because dragons are potent, absolutely. Some are just kind of brutes, but some have some interesting spell-like effects if we're talking AD&D. That dragon might be trying, depending on what the party wants to do, whether you want to set up a battle line and get the fighters in the front, get the barbarian in the front, raged up, pumped up. Rogue is hiding over the top of the mine, ready to drop in when the door opens. Wizzy is in the back, ready to go. And you're like, look, we're going to open these doors, and we're just going to blast everything immediately right away, depending on what I think I can get away with. And of course, there might be opposing skill checks or things they notice. And depending on the dragon that I'm playing, there might be a little bit of illusion spells or sound-based spells to make it think like something is inside. We're going to try and get a little bit of that. I'm going to do the best I can role-playing to set that up. And then you fight the dragon. Now, there's been a lot of interesting things. The last time I ran this, the party was ready to do the battle line because they figured, like, this is just a glorified encounter. Like, this is a glorified encounter. Maybe an Umber Hulk is going to run out. Who the heck knows, right? We're just going to get some experience. We're going to get some gold. We're ready to go. And depending on party alignment, we might actually keep the caravan and say everything was, like, destroyed along the way. So they set up this battle line, right? Barbarian in the front, battle clerics a little bit back. You got your pets. You've got your summons. Everything's ready to go. And the battle begins, and they open the door. The dwarven defender soldier, polymorph dragon, runs back, just death grip, jumps on the mage and starts pushing the mage off the cliff. So they're like, what's going on? You know, trying to make some skill checks, some different grappling checks to break stuff. And, you know, the Wizzy rolls high. And it's like, okay, you know, beat that, Fritz. And I'm like, well, okay, so I roll a D20. And I do all my dice rolls out in the open, right? I don't often hide my dice rolls. So I roll that D20 for the opposing strength check, grapple check. And, you know, I got like a 10. I got like a 10 or 11. So the wizard's like, oh, you know, it's kind of a standoff. I'm like, no, I got to add my bonuses in. So I rolled 11. I counter yours with like plus 32. And you're like, wait, well, plus 32. So now people longtime D&D players are like running that 3-point-X calculation in their mind, and they're like, something's going on here. Like, something's going on. The Dwarven Warrior threw the mage off the cliff, just jumped off the cliff, polymorphed back into it. Now, the mage was lucky, kind of made it off to the side, and as the dragon was flying around, hitting it with, like, spell effects and things like that, we had an encounter. Now, the dragon was a little bit too much for the party, admittedly. I wasn't going to kill the party because, it's not my D&D game. Likewise, I can't have the players come back. Next gaming session, the DM sits down, and the players are like, hey, man, you didn't show up last week, but this other guy sat down and, we all leveled up 2 levels and we've got 8,000 gold pieces and tons of magic items. Like, I can't do that, right? I can't do that. But what I can do is have the dragon fight and have a close call, and you drive the dragon off, and there's a little bit of gold there still left, and you get some experience for role play and a sliver of a challenge rating. So it's a productive evening. We have some fun. But this is an example of Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. And I've got about 5 or 6 of these that can scale. You can make Act 1 much longer if I have a lot of time to play. If I have less time to play, it's shorter. But at a minimum, I can run these in about an hour and scale them up, ready to go. And we'll cover 2 more. Of course, with my regular D&D gaming group, and maybe you've been there, where the adventure just ends at a certain point, right? You go through, the players fight stuff, they end, and they're like, all right, we did it. We completed the adventure, and we've still got 40 minutes to go before the gaming club closes down or, the hall kicks us out. So we calculate experience, and you're like, Fritz, we're like 60 experience points away from leveling up. Like, we're not asking you to give us 60 XP, but it's only 60 XP. Like, can I swim across the lake and just climb the hill and get 60 experience points? So my regular players know that I've always got this stock of encounter adventures ready to go. So they're like, Fritz, do the adventure. Do the adventure thing. Come on. You've got them. Like, we could do this in 40 minutes. We can get to those 60 experience points, level up, and be ready to go. So I also say that as a DM, it's good to have these ready to go, and it could be something written down. Could be just a storyboard. It just could be a couple of miniatures in your pocket ready to go. It is good to have for those times where even just a regular, and they can be a side quest, they can be bolted in as a side story. I've used these where generally I like to have all of my players present. If someone misses a gaming session, we might put their PC on autopilot, but there have been times, right? Again, annoying things like real life and school get in the way. There's times where I've got 6 players and 3 of the players are not able to make it. Last minute stuff happens, totally okay. See you next week. But I can't run the adventure because I can't put 3 player characters on autopilot. I don't want to run the adventure and miss an important point of the story. So pause the adventure for a minute. You're at the inn getting some info for that next part of the adventure. Wherever we left off, pull out one of these Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. And I can run them as a side adventure for the main adventure for the evening and still preserve the campaign. I'll push up 2 more ideas. And again, just to illustrate this idea of Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, ready to go, and how they scale based on the party.